Without truth, there can be no justice.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
Speak out. Ask those questions. Demand that truth.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 38 of Truth is Justice. Rumours relating to the reasons why there hasn't been a Truth is Justice episode over the past month are wildly inaccurate. No, I haven't disappeared. No, the suggested multiple people that supposedly comprise my persona haven't deserted me. No, I haven't succumbed to the wild and at times nonsensical and incoherent claims of the pro-Sandra Melgar supporters that her conviction was a wrongful one. I'm real and I'm here. I've had a busy few weeks. As many of you would be familiar, the process of getting your children settled back into a new school year is time-consuming and the weeks just seem to fly past. The suggestion that I would stop or disappear because of a few bizarre speculative scenarios that would be not out of place in the most unrealistic of fiction novels collecting dust on bookshelves is about as far off the mark as you can get. Those that know me know that that isn't even a remote possibility. It wasn't a whim that started Truth is Justice. Far from it. It was a passion for ensuring that the right message was communicated, that the truth was broadcast. Not some story spun to appeal to an audience carefully managed in a way to extract the most amount of sponsorship dollars possible and collect dubious reward money funds. It took months of effort and countless sleepless nights to ensure that the case material was made available in the best possible way. The website, the podcast, the Facebook page, I don't regret a second of it. Every bit of that effort was worth it. It transformed the perception of the Sandra Melgar case for so many people, and it continues to do so. The difference, when you don't need to appeal to people to extract a dollar, is really quite remarkable. You don't care if you speak words that are unpopular or promote discussions that are uncomfortable. You don't care if you ruffle a few feathers and receive the odd notice of representation here and there from those that have taken a hit to their egos. Really, if you push the truth and ensure that the facts shine through, that is what matters to the victims of the crimes. Way more than selling a few bed sheets or dog toys or some highly questionable murder merchandise. The Truth is Justice was never about going with the flow of popular opinion. The wrongful conviction movement is far too focused for that, and the financial security it provides to many is something that is fiercely defended by them. Instead, Truth is Justice was about showing what the difference is between something claimed as being a full account of the case and what is actually a full account of the case. It was about showing how just because someone states that something is fact and accompanies it with musical suspense and cliffhangers doesn't actually mean it is fact. We are not finished, far from it. That news will not be music to the ears of those who would rather gouge their eyes out with rusty spoons than listen to me talk. And that's how I understand some have described it. But really, I couldn't care less. I mean, of course Sandra's family and friends are not going to like what we are talking about. The reality that Sandra murdered Jim is quite jarring, but it is the almost inevitable conclusion that any reasonable viewer of all the evidence must come to. Now, I'm not talking about watching a few episodes of a TV show or listening to a one-sided defense-focused portrayal of the case. I'm talking about actually reviewing the case, every document, every photo, every interview, and realising that the decision made by the jury was right and just, and that really it was the only decision a reasonable jury could possibly have arrived at. Now, for me personally, the process of starting and running this podcast has been enlightening. I've engaged with some amazing people and made some wonderful friends. And really, it's only the beginning. Yeah, there's a dark side to it. that I should have, but didn't anticipate. The relentless ongoing efforts to contact people from my past, the efforts to uncover who I really am, because to some it seems so hard to believe that I am who I say I am. There are those mysterious people that try and dig up information on me through whichever means they feel is appropriate, and then somehow justify those actions. And to those people, if you still feel that strongly, honestly, just switch off. You're not going to like what I say, so don't put yourself through it. Life is too short. To those people that continue to support the podcast, thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. It's your support through the Facebook page and the many direct messages that we receive that remind us that we are on the right track. As I said, this is only the beginning. There really is so much more to be done, so much more to be uncovered. There's more people to engage and interact with, and more facts to be communicated. Really, a whole lot of interesting stuff to do with a group of really interesting people. And in the end, that's what this is all about. In terms of what's still to come with the Melgar case, well, plenty. Some of you know that I had some great chats online with Mr. John Malbrough. From those interactions, I can say that my impression is that he is a genuine guy who had absolutely zero to do with this crime, other than renting a property owned and managed by Jim. Yet, those like Bob had the nerve to lump him in a category of alternate suspects. And really, at the same time as crying out that due diligence wasn't done on Sandra's case, they feel it appropriate to name a suspect because of what, really? There was an unannounced police interview conducted with John at 7 a.m. in the morning, and then there's some wild, bizarre claims by Liz, the daughter of the convicted murderer, about her interactions with him. Hearsay is a kind description of the latter. Yet, when it comes to information from Liz and other family members, every word seems to be taken as cold, hard, unchallengeable fact. And Miss Claudia James, if you thought for a minute that the way that whole thing was portrayed by Bob was remotely accurate, you'll be disappointed that you spent a minute of your life on what was nonsense and entirely unsupported by fact. Perhaps, predictably, Bob's claims on that particular matter weren't even close to the truth. Then, we have the purchase of the house at College Station, which is another interesting element. Now, some of you will recall the multiple explanations given by Liz for where the funds came for that cash purchase. Now, in some explanations given by Liz, the funds necessary for the purchase of that home, which was finalised just weeks after Jim's murder, some explanations given by Liz suggest that part of the purchase was funded by a gift from a relative. Now, in other explanations by Liz, the financial gift was dismissed and the monies came from funds from a number of her personal accounts. And then she goes on to provide further strange explanations. Explanations that really do nothing except muddy the waters, which is a pretty consistent theme when it comes to explanations and information provided by her and other family members about important aspects of this case. Now, that really would be something. The cash purchase of a house that I think most people would have a reasonably solid memory of, where the money came from. But perhaps that was a period of time when the lupus fog was particularly bad. Now, this episode is just a short one, more of a rebuttal of sorts, I suppose, to a bizarre review that we recently received on Apple Reviews. Now, I'm not going to read it out here, but if you get a chance to have a look at it, it might give you a bit of a laugh. I don't really care who wrote it, but it does appear to be someone deeply connected with the case. But I think we can be reasonably sure that they are listening to this. So, to that person, thank you very much for reminding me of the importance of what we are doing here at Truth is Justice. Thank you for triggering that switch that reminded me of what prompted me to start Truth is Justice in the first place. My publishing of this episode may have been the opposite to what you were really trying to achieve, but who knows. For me, this case isn't about attention or admiration or sympathy. It isn't about promoting my name or my career or my background. It isn't about peddling a sponsor's products or lighting your purse. It's about doing the right thing for Jim Melgar's memory and ensuring that the process of attempting to have his murderer acquitted doesn't get a free ride along a merchandise-laden, sponsorship-riddled, expert-ridiculing track that really is despicable. To everyone, thank you very much for listening to Truth is Justice. We're not going away. We're going to continue to ask those questions and demand that truth. We don't succumb to bullying or intimidation. Instead, we simply make sure that we set the record straight. Now, I'll leave you with this final thought. Several months ago now, Liz made the rather dramatic claim via social media that bombshell DNA evidence was going to be released at the end of the summer that would prove her mother's innocence. That claim was made when the attention on the case was dwindling. Bob was moving on to another cash cow, and many of his followers were looking for the next big drama. So here we are, at the end of September, and nothing. Not so much as a tweet from Ms. Zellner or a mention from Liz about the timing of this supposed bombshell DNA finding. And maybe it's still to come, or maybe, as we see with so many similar cases, the line of, it proves her innocence but it will be released at the appropriate time, may be offered up. Now that line has always baffled me. The undertones of it, that it's a legal thing and you wouldn't understand, are always somehow avoided, and the unquestionable devotion of a specific wrongful conviction audience is incredibly maintained. Now, a cynic would say that these bombshell DNA claims by Liz made a few months ago were an attempt to continue the attention and focus on the case. But who knows? Thank you for listening, and we look forward to you joining us next week on Truth is Justice.
Thank you.